Something happened over the weekend. I don't know if this registered on the sports radar for all of the listeners out there. Many of you have told us you're not watching the basketball anymore, and I get it. The Portland Trailblazers lost their second game of the year by 60-plus points this year.
We did it!
We've done it.
NBA history.
Hooray.
We haven't caught the Spurs in our tank, but we caught the Hornets. We have done it. And now we've got two things that have been made history in the National Basketball Association with your Portland Trailblazers. First, Scoot Henderson was a minus 58. It's the worst plus-minus of any player in NBA history. We did it. We made our number 3 pick in the draft feel like the worst player of all time.
Well done. Well done. Having a good year.
We also made history. Chauncey Billups became the first coach in NBA history to lose more than one game by 60 in a season. We did that,
well
too.
Done.
We
well
were
done.
able to do it.
Proud of you guys.
Our Miami Heat trade partner that never was and never will be, our scorned lover, really took us behind the woodshed and beat the living hell out of us. And I asked this question earlier. I'm going to ask it again. It's not that you've given up hope maybe completely, or maybe you're just the other way. You're just like, hey, it's tanking. Of course they're going to lose. No big deal. I'm asking that crowd, I'm sincerely asking, what about this year makes you feel confident in any way about this organization that they will rebuild this right and either be Houston, be Oklahoma City, be fill-in-the-blank bad team that has become good or respected in some ways? Have they done anything to make you feel like that?
Sure, like just the feeling of we're going in the right direction, right? Like Houston might miss the playoffs this year.
Yes.
But just the fact that they're competing and getting the play that they're getting from some of their young guys, you would say, hey, the future is bright there. Whether they make it this year or not, you could look at them and say they're going in the right direction. And you feel like the next couple of years, they're probably going to break through and get to that point.
They signed 2 vets in Van Vliet and Brooks.
Yes.
And they went and got a coach that's non-debatably really good.
A very good coach.
Yes.
Who knows how to coach and was an assistant coach for a long time, not just 1 year.
Got to a finals.
He did. Got to an NBA finals as a head coach, and he just wasn't buddies with the general manager, and so he earned the job through what he has accomplished in his career as a coach. The answer to that is nothing. And if you say there's something, you're lying. Give me any. I'll wait. Give me anything.
Well, the news couldn't have gotten worse after losing by 60. Tumani Kamara he had a lacerated kidney. He's out for the year.
He's done. He's out for the year. This was such an embarrassing loss that I was calling a Winterhawks game on Friday, and the producer during a commercial break, he made a joke about it. We started talking about this during a break during that game. He was like, at least because the Portland Winterhawks were losing 2-1 going into the third, and he said, at least they're not playing like the Blazers. And I was like, what do you mean not playing like the Blazers? He said, they lost by 60 tonight, and we spent the next 2 minutes laughing. We're the laughing stock of the NBA. Part of me actually kind of enjoyed that this happened. We've had this weird beef with Miami, and I get that trade stuff can get awkward and uncomfortable. But there's been this belief as if we have the ability to trash talk the Miami Heat because they think that they can get Damian Lillard from us. Like, newsflash to Blazer fans, they have the ability to do that. It's Miami. They get free agents. They get players. We don't. That's just the reality of the league. They've been to multiple NBA championships in the last 5 years. They've won multiple championships this century. They're a relevant NBA franchise who will always be relevant because they're ran by a competent president. They have an elite head coach and a good roster. We have none of those things. If you're of the opinion that this is just a tank, of course you're going to lose. Who cares about how much? This is the right path, whatever. Like, I don't even disagree with the last part. This is the right path after you decided to trade Damian Lillard. The question that you have to ask yourself, and that I ask myself as a fan, is in order to dig out of this, there have to be trustworthy people in place. And I don't think Portland has them in any of the jobs that are required. Do you trust the owner?
I don't.
To do everything she needs to do to try and win. Do you truly believe that she is all in and her number one goal in life is to have the Portland Trailblazers win an NBA championship?
I don't know about number one goal in her life.
Is she just holding on to collect the TV money and going to sell this thing the second she gets the chance?
All I can say is, do I trust the owner? I've had multiple people within the organization tell me this is why she's actually a good owner, and to which I've responded, then why does she never talk to anybody in public? People within the organization seem to like her. I don't have any evidence that it's a number one goal for her to make Portland a championship team.
The people
No.
who work under Kim Jong-un also say nice things about him. So it's just it's the way society works, right?
Okay.
She has no business owning an NBA team, and when she's out, then I'll start having faith. Do you have faith in Burt Cold?
Well, you could argue, is he really the owner? Or
He is.
it
He's
her?
calling all the shots. Do you have faith in Joe Cronin?
I don't have a good track record of evidence that leaves me overly confident right now. No.
Do you have any faith in Chauncey Billups?
I have zero proof Chauncey Billups is the coach.
So why should I have any faith as a fan?
Well, I don't know how to respond to that, really, to be honest with you.
I mean, there has to be somebody in a position of authority that you trust. Joe Cronin was that guy for me when he was hired. I liked the moves initially, and then he spent 2 years lying to the fan base about what he was going to do and lying to his star player about what he was going to do, and that faith is now gone.
Well, they didn't want to be the team that traded Dame. They wanted to be the team that gave Dame the trade request.
Yeah, they don't want to be the bad guy. They wanted Dame to be the bad guy.
I don't think they wanted him to be a bad guy. I think they wanted him.
I think they understood Dame couldn't be the bad guy in the situation.
Yeah, and I think they didn't want to be even worse of a bad guy, and so it's like, hey, do you really want to be here still? We're going to draft your replacement.
And that was after quotes of, we're going to go so hard all in, you're going to have pain about how all in we are.
The crazy thing about that game, if you just saw the score, you'd be like, oh, like none of the veterans played, right? It was just rookies. No, DeAndre Ayton played 25 minutes.
He did.
Yeah, he came back.
I thought this score was a joke. I couldn't watch the game where I was. I thought it was a joke. 142-82. If I ask you, let me ask you this. You probably know, and you probably know because maybe you looked at it, so play the game with me anyway. If I tell you the Miami Heat win 142-82 against our Blazers, how many does Jimmy Butler have in your mind?
35.
35? That's, okay.
Yeah, or he has like a triple-double where he's doing everything. Maybe it's like 26, 18, and 12 or something.
He had 8, 8, and 4.
Yeah.
And they won.
Did he even play in the second half?
No. You know who did? Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant at 26 and 12. They got pantsed, and they were wearing no underwear.
No.
And they had a tiny wee. And it was like, look at that thing. That's nasty.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know where you go from here.
I don't know where you go. I still don't know what direction they are headed in. One of the scariest quotes was still Cronin around the All-Star break, talking about they got to figure out what the direction of the team is. And
he didn't know the identity.
Or the identity of the team.
Yeah,
that was the quote. And I'm like, what? You guys need to forge an identity of a team at this point and say, this is the team we want to be. This is what, and through Chauncey, start demanding it. But so if you don't know what this team is or what you want it to be, how can you expect the fans to get behind anything?
I think it's okay to say out loud, like, expecting losses is certainly, we all expect
whatever.
This to be
we
bad.
know there's growing pains. We know how young the roster is. We know all of that. But where is it going? And if they are publicly saying we're not sure, how do you rally any fan support for anything?
One clear indication that I knew that dirt was back in my life was yesterday. I'd gotten back from a beautiful day at the coast.
Sunset looked fantastic.
I mean, and then I come back to the great weather. You couldn't ask for a bigger Sunday scaries than yesterday for most people. And when I knew dirt was back is when I went, I'm excited to do that show tomorrow. I can't wait to go to sleep on a Sunday and wake up early on a Monday to do this. I blacked out for 7 weeks, so I don't know if you were here, but it was one of the more underrated parts of at the All-Star Weekend deadline. Swag's right. He said out loud, and I don't know if this got enough traction. I don't even know if I did enough conversation on it. The general manager basically said out loud, I don't know what our identity is. And I get it. The roster right now is not what they want the roster to be in 2 years.
And I know a lot
years.
of people they're dealing with injuries and all that sort of stuff.
All of that is fair. But to say that, it's like, wait, you don't know what kind of basketball your coach is going to coach?
Year 3, by the way.
Because that guy, whether you say fair, unfair, how you feel about Chauncey, I don't know where everybody lands on the bingo card. But the one thing we all have to at least agree on is this dude has done different versions of basketball teams, and I don't know where he lands. When he got here, he did the Terry thing. We're going to run. We're going to be quick. We're going to have good defense. He tried running non-pick and roll offense. It was a disaster instantly. And what did he do? Well, we need to run more pick and roll with Damon Nurk. Oh, shocking. Something that's clearly been working. You're going back to it. Okay, great. This year, at least the chatter was, yeah, they're going to lose. Man, they're going to be athletic. They're going to be fun. They're going to be fast.
Entertaining to watch.
No, they don't push the ball. They're not a good fast break team, not in any way at all. Half-court offense is clunky, and whether you're dealing with injuries or not, I don't know if this year's been good for Scoot, bad for Scoot. Shaden's played 30 games. There's just, when you look at the whole thing, and there's so many elements of it, the one thing I think we can agree on, I don't know what does Chauncey want to do as a coach? Now, you can certainly say, well, guys, he's been handed this, handed that. Yeah, he started with vets, though.
Sure. That team was supposed to win when he was hired. That was a team that was a contending playoff team year in and year out that was built to go a long ways, and they ended up having to tear it down halfway through the year. He was also hired as a guy who was supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach and then acknowledged when he was hired that I don't know anything about defense.
He said out loud, I don't coach defense. He basically said, I'm not a defensive coach, but because he came from the Pistons, for God's sakes.
They were good defensively as a team.
We all said, here we go, defensive savior. And he's like, I'm not here for defense. We're like, that should be bigger headline on newspapers, but okay.
Imagine Oregon hiring Dan Lanning and him at his press conference be like, I actually don't know anything about defense. That was all Kirby Smart, so we're kind of screwed here, but we'll figure it out along the way, okay? We'll get to the bottom of this. Look, this is going to sound like a broken record. I don't care. I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. The reality of the NBA is you have to win the lottery. That's it. Your only ticket out of this, man, is finding the guy. And that is the one thing that has been the most disappointing to me about this season was I think you were hoping that you were going to learn throughout the course of the year, okay, to the point of Joe Cronin, I don't know our identity, I don't know how we want to play, to Swag's point, like what's the plan here? I think they were hoping this year to find who's the guy we circle and say that's who we build around. Okay, but whether it's Scoot coming out with an incredible rookie season, doesn't have to win Rookie of the Year, but like showing flashes throughout the year, you say, dude, this guy has it. We can build around him, and we're going to structure the roster from there. Or maybe it's Shaden Sharp going into year 2. Man, he showed flashes last year. There's a radio host in Portland calling him Baby Kobe. Year 2 is going to be his big pop year.
I know that guy.
Let's build around this guy because he's been so impressive. Guess what? He's been hurt all year.
Yeah.
He's shown you nothing.
I know.
Okay, Anthony Simons, it's your turn to run as a number 1. Let's see you lead a team all season long. His numbers are identical to what they were when Damian Lillard were here. They haven't jumped off the page.
He's not a Dame. The one thing Dame had, clearly, it's evident. Dame was a dude that could lead, and carry. Now, could he lead you to a championship? Certainly, we argued about
Debatable, for sure.
But you could smell the leadership on him.
Yes.
And I think Ant's a great dude. I think Ant has an explosive game when he's on. It's very inconsistent to me, and that leadership thing, it's not the same. And so that part falls off. It becomes a little dicier.
He's the guy, if he's playing on a championship team as a number 3 or number 4 option, we way overgrade him for the kind of player he is. And then you put him in Portland, and it's like, hey, it's 21 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. That's run of the mill. There's a lot of guys in the league that can do that. So you're stuck in this until you find the guy. Are you going to find the guy this year? Is it Connect from Tennessee? Is that who you're going to build around?
The thing that hurts...
Sar, is that who you're building around? If not, then you're tanking again.
Well,
if you don't get the number 1 pick that year, then it's like this is not going away anytime soon.
If you get the 5th pick in this draft...
You're screwed.
You're so effed because
For 2 more years of tank.
And you got to hope that Schmitz and company hit on their prospects because if they lose out on Sar and like Cody Williams, I don't even know how good those guys will be. It's a bad draft. And if you don't get a top 3 pick after this season... It kind of puts you in a between a rock and a hard place. I mean, it's just like hard to see the light, I think, at that point. I want to find this because I want to make sure I believe he did say something in effect. I'm trying to find it. Maybe I'll have to go through it during the break. He did kind of like say, we're not really sure our identity yet. And I'm like, this is year 3. If anything should be crystal clear, it's like OKC was not very good 2 years ago. They had SGA. I knew SGA was like, yo, we have a dude.
We can build around this guy.
Yes. And this year, if anything has hit me harder this year, it's not that you've lost multiple games by 60. It's not that, you've been so banged up and that Scoot has been bad. If anything's hit me harder, it is watching Wemby on almost a nightly basis on League Pass being otherworldly, being an alien, and being all the things he was hyped up to be.
One ping pong ball away. Story of our life.
And even number 2. I mean, guy got off to a slow start. I jokingly said, oh, we won the draft in Summer League. Brandon Miller's been really stinking good. This Hornets aren't good, but Brandon Miller's at least like, whoa, Brandon Miller pops. I don't know if I think I've had like 3 plays where I've been like, Scoot's popping.
There's been a quarter here, a quarter there,
Look
a
at
half
that
here, half
pass.
there.
Yeah, right.
Nothing consistent.
Another 60-point loss. What a brutal season. Just absolutely kicking us all in the junk.